Okay, it's Fingerprints on Metals. It's Scott Hudson, and I'm Ralph Reiff. Welcome back. Thanks so much for subscribing, for just grabbing this one. If this is your first time to listen to our podcast, thank you. We'd love comments in the comment section on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. Get into YouTube and subscribe. We love that. And another thing is we're offering a newsletter now.
Yes.
So why a newsletter? It's a little more in-depth. We might talk about foam rolling, which we did our last episode.
Yep.
And, Scott went over 5 distinct areas that we ought to work on with the foam roller. Well, we're going to put that into a newsletter so that you've got something that comes across your email that you can use how you'd like to use it. It's maybe it's something you can print off and you can have it with you, put it in your pocket, put it in your exercise room, and that kind of thing. So we run across things all the time. We get questions from coaches and parents around the country, and we might put those Q&As in that newsletter. So it's an opportunity to just attach yourself to the podcast in between the podcast, and we'll talk about things that might be coming up, like here in Indianapolis, our good friend Brian Sheeter,
Yep.
Who I refer to as the mayor of the Monon.
Mayor of the Monon.
And Brian is a tremendous advocate and activist for running in the central Indiana community, has been the leader of Indy runners for a number of years in different capacities. But Brian let us know that their annual fundraiser is a Labor Day weekend. So you can go to indyrunners.com and you can find their charitable running event that they hold in between a couple of high schools in Indianapolis. All the details are on their website, but it goes to charity. You sort of split the pot of what your donation is with that goes to a charity that they support, and then there's some prize money, and I'm probably going into more details, but it's all on the website. We just want to promote it because Brian and Indy Runners are they're good friends of ours, and it's a great organization, and it's a great community of people. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Those are the kinds of things that'll be in our newsletter. So how do you sign up for our newsletter? Go to ralphreiff.com. So my website, it's my name, ralphreiff.com, on the contact page. And this will be in the show notes that we'll put from this podcast. It'll also be on Instagram and various other social medias. But you can sign up there. There's a form, and that comes directly to me, and you're then on our list. We keep that very private. It's we don't sell email addresses, and we just want to do more. And Scott's going to be a person I'll lean on for some content to give some of those tricks that he's doesn't always have the time to pull out of his expansive file, and talk to some of your cohorts like Jacob Crow and people we've worked with USA Track and Field and other sports. John Locke, who's been an athletic trainer for USA Diving forever here in Indianapolis area, and Daryl Barnes with USA Track and Field, Dr. Todd Arnold. There's just a lot of people that, sorry I started naming names because now I feel bad I didn't name the other 50 people that are so good at what they do. But tonight, parents and adult fitness folks, we want to talk a little bit to you. And Scott and I always laugh about this, and Scott's one of these guys, I think, at cross-country meets. The meet starts and the runners take off, and next thing you know, they're into the woods and you can't see them. So what do all the parents do? The parents start running, walking, jogging, riding their
Like a big
bikes.
buffalo herd.
Yeah, it's a buffalo herd. It's quite something. And I'm not a parent of a cross country runner, so I'm usually hanging around the finish line and that kind of thing. But to watch the parents, it is awesome to see the migration that happens across a cross country course. So I hope that's not your only physical activity of the week, is when you start walking fast or jogging across a field somewhere to watch your child compete. But tonight's about fitness. We get a lot of questions. I work out with adults at Day One Fitness here in Indianapolis and some other places. And, it's just the things that come up in all of this. Some of it is, how do I activate my muscles? Why do I need to strength train? Why do I need to start if I haven't started? And people start for different reasons. They've been a lifelong athlete, and so now they're 32 and sort of settled into a groove post athletics in high school, college, whether it was intramurals or whether it was actually on the varsity team, if you will. You've been around it, and now you're into life's groove of wherever that takes you, and you might start to think, I need to take care of myself. And unfortunately, we as human beings, we usually need a sentinel event. My brother passed away. My sister fell down the stairs, and it took her a year to recover from a ankle fracture. My mother, gosh, I can't believe how I'm watching her age, and now she can't work in the kitchen anymore. She can't get out of a chair. We have to help her into the car and out of the car. When does all this sort of happen? And it will come to you. And again, as I've said several times on this show, I'm 68 years old, and I am so fortunate that I can tie my own shoes, that I can walk on my own, that I can go up and down stair steps, that I can. This month of August, I'm helping at the University of Indianapolis with their athletic training staff, and I'm out on the football field and doing things that I did when I was 22 years old and still doing it. And I'm so blessed to be able to do that. And it's not just, well, it's just handed to me and I've been lucky. No, I reflect back, and being an athletic trainer my whole life, I was outdoors for sporting events. I had to carry things. I had to carry bags and
water coolers,
and get in and out of a golf cart and pick up athletes off the ground and just do these things as I was all of a sudden I was 30 and then I was 40 and I was still doing it. And I was going out on the basketball court at Hinkle Fieldhouse at age 60 and picking up athletes and just being around that every day of I didn't realize until now how good that was for me to jump into the weight room from time to time and just being active within my workplace. And so not everybody can do that. So you have to carve out some other time and some other things. And so, Scott, I just thought that you see a lot of adults in your practice and in Carmel, Indiana, Scott Hudson. So tell us what you do. I want you to talk about that a little bit with our audience of what does Scott Hudson do? And you always talk about your I think it's your over 60.
Yeah, the ladies of the 80s.
Ladies of the 80s. And so what motivates them? What are the issues that they might present with? How does your routine of exercise, activation, strength, just unpack all that for us.
Yeah, so it started probably 3 years ago with a lady that came to me for an evaluation, and she needed to get stronger. She had a bone density test and wasn't pleased with the results. And she couldn't do one-on-one training. she said, I need to do a group because the price was too high. So
Okay.
we started a ladies class of her friends. It started out with 7, and they were all ladies. They say ladies of the 80s. That's because they were in college, graduated from college in the 80s, not high school. So we just started a strength class, basic principles, pushing weight, pulling weight, squatting your body weight, simple exercises, right? There's a ton of stuff out there.
Yeah.
And if you just keep it simple and keep it smart and put people through a regime of different lifts. So the way we set it up is in groups, you could have anywhere from 5 to 10 people in that class, and I do different stations. So we may have a dumbbell floor press at one station. We may have a squat at one station. We'll hit the core and do a plank at one station. And we try to do today, for example, we did 40 seconds on with a 20 to 25 second rest and went through 10 different lifts 4 times through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they love it. They're still coming after 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I have different goals in mind, be it bone density, be it.
Well, let's talk about that for a little bit. So the science behind bone density, right? In its simplest form, science tells us that if we load the bone,
Yep.
if we load the bone's going to respond by growing more bone and being healthier bone.
Yep.
So we load it by doing chair squats. We load it by lifting a 2-pound dumbbell over our head. We load it by doing toe raises, right? We pound we might do a little light jog in place.
In place. You might jump up on a box.
Jump on a box that's 2 inches high, or maybe it's 12 inches high as you progress. But loading the body, putting stress on the body, reverses the bone density issues.
Correct.
That's the science.
Yep. Outside of having a genetic disorder, that you're, and especially for women, I think going through the menopause and the changes they do with their change in the bone and everything else, and that's a whole nother topic. But there's some evidence-based research on RDLs helping with osteoporosis in the low spine and the lumbar spine.
Mm-hmm. And there's our good friend Tim Weber, who's a physician here in Indianapolis area, trauma surgeon. But besides that, has just a real zest for life. And and he's has been an ultra endurance runner, the 24-hour races and things of that nature. And he's really intrigued by the Australian studies that came out about really lifting heavy weight with older adults, male and female, and how her research had really shown, again, gains in bone density, gains in a number of health metrics. And, we'll talk a little bit. I want to shift also, but just simple things like grip strength is a great indicator of health and great indicator of some mental deterioration. That as you have better grip strength and you put the grip under stress, whether it's carrying a heavy purse or it's a farmer's carry of some kettlebell type of thing.
Grocery carry, they joke. We carry kettlebells, right?
Yeah.
So we'll start out and we'll do a kettlebell over the head, like 10 pounds.
I love to do it over the head. It creates
and you
such
gotta
a stress on the core. I just love that. And you have to keep your hips balanced, and you got to, you have good posture with it. And matter of fact, Todd Arnold, I learned this from Dr. Todd Arnold when we were rehabbing a person at St. Vincent Sports Performance, and he was doing some core rehab to correct some movement instabilities. And all of a sudden it was one arm over the head. And I was like, what on earth
you go over the head.
What are you doing that for? Well, he says, try it, Ralph. And I almost fell over with a 5-pound kettlebell. And now I can do substantially more. But I love the single arm overhead.
Then you drop it to a farmer's carry. It's like carrying groceries, right?
Yep.
So all those ladies have grandkids that they're picking up, sitting on one hip, sitting on the other. So that's part of it is that's part of their goal too, is to be healthy for their grandkids.
Yeah. And what I find that in my fitness circle it's sort of like, okay, what do I do in daily life that, hey, I need to grab something here and I need to put it here and then I need to put it up on a shelf, right? So now if I just do that with 5-pound weights, now I go to 8-pound weights, now I go to 12-pound weights over 3 months. Oh my gosh, what you're doing there for your strength, your ability to withstand stress, the resilience in your mind and your moxie.
Yeah.
Look that word up, moxie.
Moxie.
It was the first energy drink, was Moxie. Moxie. Ted Williams, the famous baseball player, Ted Williams was the first and only athlete to be on the label for Moxie, which still you can buy it today. It takes some getting used to. I tried it one time just because, but maybe over the years you've heard somebody say, "Boy, that guy's got some moxie, some grit." Right? Well, it actually came from an actual beverage that was marketed in the East Coast, and Ted Williams, a baseball player, was the marquee commercialization for Moxie. I've got a bottle at home, antique bottle of Moxie. So anyway, I regress, but the ability to maintain our independence, but as you say, well, hey, I am independent. I can put on my own shoes. I can get dressed. I can drive. I can walk upstairs. You can now say, okay, what do I want to affect that I can't see? And that's where we go to, we know that grip strength helps to reduce the onset of fatalities in the human body, whether it's heart disease, whether it's cancer, whether it's Alzheimer's. That grip strength, an increase in grip strength, is related to a decrease in the mortality of those issues in all adults. It's amazing. And so that's why we have this episode, is to encourage, try it. If you're going to the gym, awesome. Explore more, right? Well, let's get back to your ladies of the 80s and that thing. One of the things you talked about, a squat. Is that a weighted squat? Is it weight on the shoulders? Is it a kettlebell? Is it just getting up out of a seated position? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I just start with body weight squats at first. What can you do? The big part is instilling confidence in people, right?
Yeah.
So some women and men are intimidated by the weight room because they think they're going to walk into a gym that, you got to push heavy weight and do this. But so a simple squat to 24 inches, just tap your glutes to that. Mm-hmm. Or reverse it, sit to stand from 24 inches and push yourself up out of that position without using your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you can start to load it once they have good mechanics, and there's tons of different variations. I like the goblet squat with the kettlebell right up here.
Mm-hmm.
I like the sumo squat. You let the kettlebell hang down there and you sit forward. I think there's a ton of different ways you can do the squat. And then you progress to single leg. Mm-hmm. So if you can do 24 inches pushing off with both feet, can you do that with one foot? Yeah.
And one of the things that I really value out of just a body weight squat is as you get into that squatting position and you come back up and back down and so forth, it also challenges your balance. Your spatial awareness as you age, that's something that can deteriorate. And so to challenge your spatial awareness and your balance as you're going through that up and down motion. So then you think about, hey, I want to pick up my 5-year-old grandson, right? And so I want to be able to do that. You're doing the same thing as you do in a squat, right? And or I want to help my son cut the grass. And so we got to lift the mower up, let's say, to sharpen the blade or whatever. To be able to participate in those things is very valuable. The other element you can do with the squats is you can do an elevated squat where you put a wedge, or what I do under my heel. So why do we do that? Explain what that helps with when you elevate the heels.
Yeah, it gives you spatial awareness and some core control.
Yeah, and you usually can sink deeper.
You can sink deeper.
Right. So hey, if I lift my heels, now all of a sudden I can sink deeper. So some people have wedges in their weight rooms or their gyms and so forth that you can use. I take 5-pound weights.
Yeah, you sit right on the handle.
Yeah, and I put my heels on the handles, and all of a sudden I've got a nice,
the other thing is you're taking out
position.
the dorsiflexion, right? If somebody has tight dorsiflexors, we're putting them into plantar flexion so they can get a little bit lower.
Yeah, so you're able to go deeper in the squat because what Scott's saying there, plantar flexion to dorsiflexion, you're taking out the stress off of the calf or the limitation of the calf as you go into the squat and that whole chain. And we talk about sometimes as people do a squat and come back up, they might get some nerve irritation. And, that's something that you and I talk about. You treat clients with nerve discomfort or pain. I was talking to somebody at the gym the other day when we were doing calf stretches, and I had my feet elevated on a what I call Reebok board, right? And I had my feet elevated, my heels down. Well, then I got back far enough to where then instead of just standing straight up and stretching, now I engaged my hamstrings, my low back, my pelvis, and I went down to do a toe touch, all right? And my nerves all the way down into the back of my leg and into my calf was just sizzling, all right? So I back off of that, and to me, in my experience and in dealing with sort of unpacking rehabilitation of people who are injured, who have a limited range of motion and they get this nervy pain, well, then we start to do this nerve flossing, right? And so do you mind maybe demonstrating and talking a little bit about the nerve floss element?
So if we're laying flat, and we raise somebody's leg straight up, keeping their other leg down, and they start to get pain in the back of the knee, you know that that's probably nerve stretch, not a hamstring stretch.
Right. So we talked in other episodes about the fascia. So you've got the skin, you've got the subcutaneous layer, and then you get into, before you get to the muscle, you got the fascia, the saran wrap, the plastic that's wrapped real tight. And in that complex, blood vessels, blood flow, but also your nerves flow through there, right? So we're trying to get that to
I've had a number
relax.
of people that sit for a job, right?
Yeah.
And then they get up to run and they're like, man, my left leg or my right leg just feels dead. And so you tease out that on the table, one side to the other, but there's a simple technique, and you look that up online, nerve flossing.
Yeah.
But it's really the tightness of that sciatic nerve in between the piriformis and the other muscle back there, the superior gemelli. There's your anatomy lesson for the day. But, Dr. Arnold, Daryl, and I, we tried to figure this out for the longest time. If you're laying there and we distract your leg, you take away that pain. So that's a form of nerve flossing, but that teases that out. And Doc has no explanation for it. I don't know if he's done a deep dive back into that, but if you do that and then you do the nerve flossing, and you can usually get rid of that.
I want to go back to one point you just made about how assisting somebody with that single leg raise by distracting the hip joint, right? And so thus the benefit of having a trained practitioner stretch you.
Yes.
The huge benefit. And that's why when we would go with USA Track and Field and Emma Coburn or whoever would come over and hey, will you help me stretch? They knew that they were going to get this whole package of joint distraction with tension and traction through that range of motion. And so we were also dealing with the capsule. We were taking any kind of joint restriction out of the way so that we could get the muscle through a greater range of motion.
Yeah.
Right? And is there anything else you want to add to that? But that to me is when when a track teammate says, hey Jim, will you stretch my hamstring? And Jim goes over and sort of looking at the birds flying around and holding their leg up and stretching their hamstring, and hey, that's good enough. That's good enough. It's one of those things where when you know a lot, it frustrates you when you see things done inadequately.
Well, one of our colleagues who worked on a gymnast, because gymnasts have to be flexible. And this gymnast, I can't remember what her age was, but she was overstretched.
Yep.
I don't know who that was by.
Yeah.
But she had nerve damage that took probably 5 to 6 months to get rid of, because they just went too far going back with her leg over her head.
Right.
And so,
right. There's a lot of anatomy. I'm creating a hip here, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of anatomy in the way when you're trying to say, well, hey, stretch my leg because my low back's tight, or stretch my leg because I want to get my hamstring tighter. There's so much anatomy connected to the pelvis, to the hip joint itself, the capsule, the rotations, and that kind of thing. And so that's where having someone trained, knowledgeable, having somebody knowledgeable about that anatomy to help with that process. And so I would say this to parents. Hey, if you want to help your high school track cross-country athlete stretch a little bit, you can just grab their ankle and just pull a little bit, just some slight traction. You're not trying to scoot them across the floor, just giving some slight pull towards you, and then lift that leg up, and then maybe pull the toe down towards their nose. So you're doing this, and that will engage more muscle tissue, nerve tissue, and so forth. And that's not a great range of motion, but you're really providing a proper stretch to
subtle,
that posterior
very
capsule.
subtle.
Yes, it's very subtle. And so same thing with shoulders and adhesions in the shoulder and the shoulder blade and the ankle and that's the value of investing dollars into your personal health. Is if you hit a wall or you get to a point of you stop doing something because it doesn't feel good, you have anterior knee pain, so I'm going to stop doing lunges. Don't do that. Ask somebody, ask an expert, which you can find them. It's the Scott Hudsons of the world. It's the good leaders within gyms. It's physical therapists that have their own practices and so forth. And you can find ways to work through that anterior knee pain with strength exercises, squats, right? And so you're building the strength of the quadricep, and you're firing the glutes as you come up. It's the fine tuning. Why I bring all this up is I don't want anybody who's had the courage and the motivation to stop because of something doesn't feel, I don't like it because it makes my shoulder sore. Well, go find out why.
Yeah.
And I bet it's a little simpler answer than you think. You're going to need massive X, Y, and Z for the most of the bell curve of the human population, right? It's usually something of a change of a technique. It's getting strong in other directions, other motions, and so forth. And so you agree or disagree with all of that?
All of that, yeah.
And when we talk about fingerprints on metals, another way to, again, we're deconstructing what we've seen with athletes that at elite levels who've had traumatic injuries, whether it's a bone contusion, surface contusion in the ankle. Well, just letting that rest and heal, that's one option. But we know by working with those folks that doing some hands-on techniques of really working the joint space and working the bottom of the foot and just getting an expert's opinion can get you back in the gym, get you back into being able to walk around Disney World and not cancel your trip because the bottom of your foot's sore. And there's lots of experts and lots of ways to do it, and just have the grit to email somebody and ask those things. You mentioned the bottom of the foot. You talked about Rafa.
Yeah.
You were talking about this episode, this 5-episode program on Netflix.
Yeah. It's called Rafa, and from an athletic trainer or medical background, he had a foot injury in circa 2005 when he was just getting started.
This is Rafa Nadal.
Rafa Nadal, number one in the world. He's won the French Open 14 times, which will probably never be touched.
Yeah, and those of you who don't know, Scott has a tremendous background in tennis and was very much involved at the U.S. Open and various other places for a number of years. And so he's been in it.
Yeah, and he has 22 Grand Slams, I believe. But yeah, there was a problem in his foot. It's a diagnosed problem. It's a syndrome that's out there, and that led to some injuries in his knee and then eventually into his hip because he had, for so long, had to wear an insole in his shoe. And very great Netflix documentary about elite athletes and what they put themselves through and the hard work that it takes to do that.
Yeah, and we've been fortunate to see some of that front and center. And so you talk about his foot injury led to another injury, which led to another injury. Let's unpack that a little bit. And this, elite athletes, we know one thing that elite athletes are really good at is compensating.
Yeah.
And sort of driving around that injury, right? And compensating at a high level. But let's just talk from the perspective of, so somebody has a sore foot. Why down the road, a month, a day, 6 months, their opposite side knee hurts?
Yeah, they're probably using that opposite extremity to make up for the loss of if it's on the right foot, they're probably going to use their left leg a little bit more and put more weight through. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
And so then you create a problem. So just looking at the foot, he who looks to the point of pain is lost, right? So if we just look at the foot, we've got to look above the joint, below the joint, and to the opposite side and tease out those imbalances.
Yeah, I was consulting with a high school athlete here recently, and that was having, back in the track season in the spring, had a calf pain, medial calf pain, and when we say calf, but it was distal in the lower leg, and so proximal to the ankle, but it was more medial side. And so as you start to unpack that, thinking, and I said, when does this begin to bother you? And it's after they've been in a workout for a while. So they've warmed up, they're into the workout, then that starts to be an issue, and it feels just sore enough that they stop and can't do the workout. So therefore it deteriorated the season. Took 6 weeks off. And came back, cross country started, and get out on some team longer runs, and it came back. So, our number one target was to build strength in that particular muscle. And so my explanation to the group was, more than likely that muscle was injured at some point in time, or there's biomechanics of the foot that didn't allow that particular part of the lower leg structure to fire all the time. And so the body compensated and moved to the other muscles to overtake that muscle that wasn't firing. Maybe they weren't pushing off their big toe, or maybe they had some excessive pronation that just didn't allow it to fire appropriately, and so forth. And so working on isolation to get that muscle back, and there's some success with that. And I've, over the years, over 45 years of doing this and watching, that there was a time in my career where we'd really back off of pain. and let's wait till the pain's gone. Well, the pain's gone because you aren't using it.
Yeah.
And so, but the problem's not gone. And so working towards root cause is what fascinates me about our business, of what we do, is working with athletes that, okay, what's the true root cause of this? And so Rafa has a foot problem, becomes a knee problem, becomes a hip problem. And again, if you always go to the point of pain, you're missing the root cause issue. And so that to me is the intellectual game that comes with our business, is working towards that root cause of things. And so, again, I say all this towards the adult fitness person of all ages. Put your body under stress. Pick up a heavy kettlebell and carry it for 10 yards, 10 feet. Stand still with it. Right? Put it over your head. Put your body into a stress, that walk. Yeah. And because every foot strike creates a percentage of force up through that leg and into the pelvis, which again helps to reduce the morbidity of all the various things that come through our life stages. And exercise is a great tool to help us with our long-term journeys. And so, got anything else to add tonight?
No, movement is medicine.
Okay, so this episode will drop the weekend of the Falmouth Road Race.
Yes,
out of Cape Cod. I'm out there on the medical staff, and it's quite a famous road race, both for elite athletes as well as for the medical staff there. There's just notorious heat stress numbers, and so we'll have some stories on our next episode about that, and there's some Indianapolis connection from an elite athlete that will run out there, and
yes,
so it's fun. Barry Keane, who was a Butler runner, we'll mention this. Butler University Athletics 10,000 meter school record holder for a while, finished 15th, I think, in the main road race. I'm blanking on the name of that. It's not. It's Beta Breakers is out in San Francisco. This is the other one that's up in the coastline of Maine, but that was just last weekend, and he did a great job. Ran 29:09 for 10K.
10K.
At the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships from Zionsville High School, Butler University, Angelina Ellis.
9:18 personal best by 2 seconds.
In the steeplechase, she finished fourth, and as you said, in 2 years she needs to finish third or better and get on that Olympic team. So, yeah, out of Zionsville High School, cross-country track and field athlete, went to Butler, developed even more, and we're real proud of Angelina and what she's doing with Stephen Haas and his group out there in Flagstaff, Arizona. So we have fun following all these athletes and helping them and enjoying their journeys. And we hope that all the parents and adults that you enjoy your journey also. Thanks for tuning in.